Today on What It's Like, 1950 Dodge B4, aka Pilot House Truck. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. This channel, we dive in deep on the lost and forgotten cars. We feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and trucks that the established channels just simply don't care to cover. If that sounds like a channel that you'll totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This truck was recently sold at Classic Auto Mall, Morgantown, Pennsylvania, which still has over 850 cars for sale when recording this episode. If you're interested in looking at their inventory, which is vast, they have a ton of cars on offer. Click the link below after the show. Let's talk 1950 Dodge model lineup. Wayfarer was in the basement, followed by Meadowbrook, followed by Coronet. But we're not really here for those today. They did offer wagons as well. We're here for the Dodge B-Series truck line. Before diving in deep on the B-Series, it's important to note that Dodge offered two B-Series vehicles. 48 through 53 was their B-Series truck. They also offered a van that was produced from 1970 as early 71 models through 2003. Getting back to the B-Series truck, the B-Series truck could be had from half-ton configuration all the way up to 4 tons as a commercial truck or bus. This part is super confusing. B equals half-ton truck. C equals 3/4 ton truck. D equals 1 ton truck. F, G, H equal 1.5 ton truck. And it'll keep going all the way up to 4 tons. The confusing bit is if you type in C series, you get 1955 through whatever, whenever the C series truck was being produced. But it's not the same. So finding information on this truck was very, very difficult to say the least. And there's also another variant number. So you'll also see B1, B2, B3, B4. I thought that those numbers correlated with the weight, sort of like how Ford did it. Ford did a similar number system. F1 was half ton, F2 was 3/4 ton, F3 was 1 ton, F4 was 1 ton with a heavier chassis. I thought that this was the same thing, but it's not. It's the model number. So B1 was produced 1948 to 1949. B2 was produced in 1950. B3 was 51 through 52. B4, 53. It is super confusing. Another confusing part is the whole Fargo thing. So Fargo, you'll see advertisements with a truck called Fargo that looks identical to a Dodge. And this is what Chrysler loved to do. They bought Fargo in 1928 and badged Dodge trucks under the Fargo name until the 30s when they decided to do that with Plymouth. And then the Plymouth trucks didn't sell that well, so they went back to selling Fargos. They sold Fargos in Canada until 1972. 1978 is when the company totally defunct. Getting back to the B-Series Dodge trucks, this truck, when I went to go record it for an episode, it said it was a half-ton variant, but I don't believe that that's the case. I think that this truck is really like a 1-ton truck because of the size of the bed on the back. So we're going to compare it to all of the other 1-ton offerings in 1950, starting with International at the top, L130, followed by the Ford F3 1-ton truck. The Dodge 1-ton truck is in the center. Chevy 1-ton 3800 series is below it, and the Diamond T 1-ton truck on the bottom. This is what the competition looked like. All right, now it's time to compare. Let's compare post-war to pre-war. 47 on the top, 50 on the bottom. But before we do, look at the 47. Doesn't that look very familiar? Like, say, a 46 Chevy. Let's get a 46 Chevy up there real quick. Look at the similarities. Yes, they're different, but why did the Dodge? Like, Dodge just stole a lot of styling aspects from Chevy. I mean, this isn't the only car or truck that looks like a Chevy. Later on, the Belvederes look like Bel Airs. It's crazy to me, but the Dodge looks like a cheap knockoff Chinese version of the Chevy truck. Anyway, going back to comparing these two. All right, starting in the front, just notice how different these two are. The headlights are mounted in different places. The 47 was the last year for the exposed, pronounced fenders. The 50 looks way more compact, but trust me, it's an illusion. Moving to the side profile, notice the Dodge has corner windows, which were an option. Running boards are wider on the 47. Going to the rear in the rear quarter of the truck, the top truck is a little bit shorter, but it gives you a good look at how wide the running boards are on the 47 as opposed to the 50. Moving to the dash section, all the gauges have been moved to the center on the 1950 version. Which one do you prefer in the comment section? All right, moving on to specs. 3 wheelbase options on offer. Half-ton rode a 108-inch wheelbase. 3/4 ton rode a 116-inch wheelbase. 1-ton models, 126-inch wheelbase. The weight was a variable. Starting price for a 3/4 ton truck was $1,371, which is equivalent to you spending $17,019.17 in the year 2023, which would be an absolute bargain if you could get a truck. A good working man truck for under 20 grand is unheard of. All right, moving on to engines. 230 cubic inch displacement, flathead 6, 3.8 liters. It's good for 103 brake horsepower at 3,600 RPM. Couldn't find a torque figure. Bore of 3.3 inches, stroke of 4.3 inches, compression 7.1 to 1, 4 main bearings. I also saw that the 218 could be in there, but I couldn't find any information on that engine, so I just went with the 230. Let's talk styling. There is a lot going on, and I say that a lot, but just notice how the fenders, it sits down lower than the hood bulge itself. Comes up quite drastically here. Notice that it's a butterfly style hood, but it's got this really big, wide, thick, whatever you want to call it, centerpiece here in the center. Instead of it hinging in the center, it has this void in the center. Look at how this comes to a point here. Look at how this is flared out. Also, check out this line here. And notice it just keeps coming back, and then it tapers back into the door right there. That is a very interesting line. Look at that. Also, check out the running boards. They are tiny. Here's my foot for reference. Like, that's not going to help you out. That might help a little kid get into here, but when you open the door, the rest of the running board is actually behind the door itself. So just check that out. Coming back here to the bed section, I always wondered how these connected. This is a very ingenious design, how this just fits around here like this, and it makes it super stable. For those that don't know, I have a 52 Chevy 1-ton truck that has sides, and my sides shake going down the road. These are way more stable than my sides are. It's even stronger here because it's a corner. So it's got reflectors here. The brake lights are underneath this. This one has corner windows just like the Chevy, but they're styled different. Look at all these lines coming back here. You know, even for a utilitarian vehicle such as this, there's still a lot going on with it. Cowl vent. Windshield wipers, and notice it has 2 windshield wipers, split windshield, and just check out how big that windshield is. That is a big windshield. Also, look at all the lights on top. The mirror situation. Gas filler is on the driver's side. Getting inside, but before we do, just check out how this handle is designed. And it opens like a refrigerator.
This is what the door looks like. It's all framed out. Here are my fingers for reference. It's a pretty deep frame. Also notice it's not one level. Like, it separates right here. So that's very interesting. This feels like it's not leather. I don't know if that's a vinyl material, but the seat is made out of the same material, but it feels soft. Not like vinyl. Sometimes vinyl doesn't feel soft. Feels soft. Good quality feel to it. This is all steel down here, all steel door. Door handle to get out, window crank for the window. And notice it has this piece here that partitions the vent window and the window, and a nice gasket so that in theory it shouldn't leak. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, high beam switch on the floor, clutch, brake, gas pedal. Notice the floor and how flat it is. Take a look at this interior. Notice the seat does not move, so wherever the seat position is, that's where it is. It doesn't move. The steering wheel also doesn't move. That's what the door sounds like shutting. Here is what over the hood impression looks like. Here's what first person looks like. The window is absolutely huge. It feels like I'm driving a bus. It feels like I'm literally behind the wheel of the bus, because of how big the windshield is. Here is what under the steering wheel looks like. I wear size 34 pants, and the only reason I say that is because if you're about the same size as me, you're gonna fit in this truck perfect. And honestly, if you're a big guy, this truck looks really small from the outside, but it's actually really big in here. There's more space in this cab than there is in my 52 Chevy.
On to the button switches and knobs. Starting in the center, right past the steering wheel, is the speedometer with odometer inside of it, amp meter, oil pressure, water coolant temperature, gasoline gauge, headlights, panel lights, key, hand throttle, and choke.
Up on top here, there isn't a sun visor for the driver, but there is one for the passenger, which is really weird. Generally, there's usually one for, I think there might have been one over here because the brackets or the hardware's here, but the actual sun visor isn't. Here's for the windshield wipers. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. And now notice, this one does not have a locking feature, so it might fit in here. It's definitely going to fit in there. Look at how massive that glove box is. Look at that. That's so cool. So I don't know if you collect matchbooks, but this one comes with matches. Just look at that. That glove box is so big that it'll fit both cameras in there. And shut. This is what I look like behind the wheel of the 50 Dodge. There is tons of headroom in this truck. I don't feel claustrophobic in this truck. In fact, I kind of sort of think that maybe I made the wrong choice in truck. This truck feels absolutely huge, and it's not. It's really tiny. This is actually one of the smallest trucks on offer in the 50s as far as footprint goes. But man, it's an optical illusion, this truck is. This one has my all-time favorite feature that they don't put on vehicles anymore, the cowl hood vent. And then you push it down and it releases this hood vent in the hood, which goes up. This one doesn't go up that far. Getting under the hood, you come up here and you turn the handle up. You see how that arm caught? Look at the engine. It's directly in the center of the void line. This is a very interesting hood setup. Let's go to the other side and open it. So see that arm opening? And then it locks right into that. And that's how it stays up. I'm going to take a step back just so you can see the hood opening situation. Flathead 6 oil bath air cleaner. There's tons of room to work on this. You would have to be tall. I'm 6'2" and I can reach in here just fine, but if you're short and have short arms, you might need a ladder. But the greatest thing about these old trucks is, like, I'm pushing down on this pretty hard and it's not flexing. He just made stuff better back then. Generator. This is the oil filter. Coil right up on top there. Getting the radiator out would be a little bit of a conundrum. You'd have to take the hood off. Because look, the hood almost rests on top of it. Almost. There's enough room to put my finger underneath there. But this is just a very interesting design. When you're ready to shut it, you just lift up on that, pull this out like that.
On the positive side, built solid, camera fits in the glove box, so you know it's an absolutely huge place to store stuff. Loads of space despite compact appearance. Great visibility. Against it, steering can be heavy and can be hard to shift. Harder to drive than other trucks from this era. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather, 2 scenarios. In the first scenario, everything is from 1950. Would you rather have a 1950 International L130 series truck or a Ford F3 or a Dodge 1-ton truck or a Chevy 1-ton truck or the Diamond T 1-ton truck? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, you could always feel free to pause the video or go back. Second scenario, these are totally random. And these aren't competitors, even though they are competitors, but they're from different time periods. And money doesn't matter. 1951 Bugatti Type 101 or 1939 Alfa Romeo 6C or 1948 Talbot Largo T26. In the comment section below, which one would you rather have? All right, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give me both the name of the band and song title, first person to do both correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section.
Up with the sun, gone with the wind.
Thank you for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook and would like to talk to me one-on-one, shoot me an email. All of that information will be linked in the description. And just know I appreciate all of the support. And until next time, here's some scenes for our next episode. 1939 Plymouth P8 4-door convertible. Very interesting car. That's what's next on What It's Like. Catch that episode tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time on What It's Like. And until then, toodaloo! Call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now today.